Welcome to Fiery Discourse, your podcast and media featuring dragonesses, female dinosaurs, and other similar saurians and scalies. I'm your host, Ludmillanon, and with me are my co-hosts, Angron, Mathmachine and The Shark. Today is our 152nd episode, and we're discussing the 2025 movie Jurassic World Rebirth. So, let's get things started.
Alright, Jurassic Park fans, you love your dinosaurs in your Jurassic Park movies? Well, I hope you like a movie without many dinosaurs, if at all.
Yep, they did it again. Go ahead, Matt.
This movie doesn't even deserve the kazoo cover. It just deserves, hey, fuck you.
I have my own piece to say about the movie, which I'll talk about after this, but for now, Jurassic World Dominion was very financially successful, but critically, it was a huge failure. I think it actually has the lowest Rotten Tomatoes score of the franchise, so because of this, Universal Studios decided to continue the Jurassic World franchise with brand new characters. So basically, the story of Owen and Claire are finished, even though we never got to see Claire turn into a dinosaur, but regardless. And this is kind of a quasi-reboot. Now, what's interesting about this is the director of this movie is Gareth Edwards, who directed 2014's Godzilla, which I remember being a pretty decent movie. I mean, the fact that Bryan Cranston was killed off so early on in it is a big shame, but it was actually a pretty good kaiju movie overall. The fact that this is a completely new movie, it was separated of all of the baggage from the past 4 movies and that, you actually did have hope for it, which makes it how it turned out all the stranger because, yeah, this is a very polarizing movie.
That's an understatement.
No, definitely. The movie begins with a title card saying 17 years ago before we cut to footage of a jungle, including monkeys staring off into the distance. Obviously, this is the crossover between Jurassic Park and Planet of the Apes we have all been waiting for. A helicopter then flies by as its source of the research facility at Ile St. Hubert. Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
I was going to say, with the monkeys and the dinosaurs, wow, someone beat Disney at making a live-action remake of Dinosaur 2000.
Yeah, that would have been better than this. That actually probably would have been better than this. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Welcome to the jungle. In this movie, we have neither fun nor games.
Thank you very much, Axel. At the island, a group of researchers are busy at work. One scientist approached a locked door with a label reading D-Rex. The scientist is holding both a key card and a candy bar. Putting the keys in his mouth, he opens the door as the candy bar wrapper falls to the floor. The scientist enters the room as the candy bar wrapper also blows into the room. And we all know what's going to happen. He's going to become Brundle Chocolate. Oh, wait, no, that's the other Jeff Goldblum franchise. My mistake.
Nice.
But the scientists are all talking about how they don't want to kill the thing as a candy bar wrapper gets sucked underneath the automatic door, causing it to break, which in turn causes all of the security and containment areas to fail. So, right off the bat, the inciting incident of all this nonsense is just some guy being too lazy to take his candy bar wrapper and throw it in the garbage can. And it's a good lesson because, kids, unless you throw away your trash, dinosaurs will eat you.
So in the first movies, we have rival scientists trying to sabotage the park, sending in spies that will break the system, which will cause the whole incident. And here we have a candy bar doing it. Bravo!
A voice over a loudspeaker says there's containment failure as one of the scientists presses an alarm button. The scientist with the candy bar runs up to the door but is locked in as he tries to get his female counterpart to open the door. And the D-Rex slowly but surely appears behind him. And we're going to talk about D-Rex's design right now because, man, I don't know about this. The D-Rex's design is one with a squat skull with 6 limbs, and instead of walking like a dinosaur, or opening the door, or getting on the floor, it walks more like a gorilla. It uses its limbs basically to propel itself along, and at first I thought, did they think they were making King Kong instead of Jurassic Park? Wrong franchise there, but to me, this looks really silly. I get it's supposed to be a mutated dinosaur, but this just looks so stupid. Go ahead, Matt.
The way that I have described the way this thing looks is, if anyone has ever seen the video game Evolve, which was effectively a proto live service game before those became popular, and I use that term loosely, it looks like a failed prototype from that game.
Oh boy.
Animated like it too, but I digress.
The D-Rex then grabs the scientist with one of its talons and crushes him before pulling him back. We then cut to the Jurassic Park logo as it slowly zooms out, and this is one of those movies that we don't actually get to see the title card until the ending, so right now, the movie's title is literally just the Jurassic Park logo, something that this movie does not deserve, as we'll get to in a little bit. We then cut to a title card saying that it was 32 years ago that dinosaurs returned. We then get another title card that says modern climate and disease has taken its toll and public interest on them has waned, which, I'm sorry, that's stuck out to me since the first Jurassic World. People would not get bored of dinosaurs. I'm sorry. People are interested in aquariums, and we know mostly about marine life. People are interested in zoos, and we know all about animals and that. But the idea that people would see like a brachiosaurus and be all, "Man, I've seen it." I don't know. That just seems so silly to me.
Yep.
It then goes on to say that dinosaurs can only live on some islands near the equator and that human travel there is forbidden. And this is one thing I want to say. This moment right here is where the movie lost me, because this means both Fallen Kingdom and Dominion, both of which pushed the idea of the dinosaurs are in our world, is completely and utterly pointless. They literally just hit the reset button. At the end of Fallen Kingdom, they implied that the dinosaurs are going to roam across the earth. And we actually got to see some of that in Dominion. But here, it's like they said, nope, it didn't happen. Doesn't matter. Screw you. Which really, really does bother me. Go ahead, Matt.
A couple things real quick. So, Fallen Kingdom and Dominion are pointless, huh? Gee, where have I heard that before? I really do hate that reset thing because, well, we just didn't want to animate them in cities, so we're doing a cop-out thing. Bullshit. Like, what the fuck? Like, we have been wanting this from day one, and they are going as far out as they can to make sure that it never happens. It actually does kind of piss me off. The thing that really annoys me is that whole, people got bored of dinosaurs thing. Like, there's this weird idea with Hollywood and these movies that we have the attention span of gnats. That unless we see something constantly shoved in our face and it's all new and innovative, that we just get bored of it in 5 minutes. Same thing happened with the Ghostbusters franchise. They always presented it like, that's why no one believes in ghosts, because they didn't see them every 5 minutes. And it happens here in basically every Jurassic World movie now. And you see it in other movies too, where that's just the cop-out they use of, this is why people don't believe this thing that's been there forever and always happening, because, it wasn't shoved in their face every 5 minutes.
We know something about the title. It's called Rebirth because it's a reboot.
Wah, wah, wah. But yeah, getting back to what you were saying, Matt, I think the worst example of that, at least to me, was in Ghostbusters 2, where a giant 50-foot marshmallow man exploded. How do people not believe the Ghostbusters after that? I'm sorry. It's one of those things that really, really does not make sense. But getting back to this movie, we then cut to a bunch of paintings of dinosaurs. As it turns out, they're being part of a billboard that's being painted over. And a joke that actually did get a giggle out of me, it's a T-Rex holding a hamburger and a soda with sunglasses. Yeah, okay, if dinosaurs came back, they would try to market them like that. It's the Poochie-saurus. We then pan down to a traffic jam as people are annoyed over what is happening, and it turns out to be from a dying Brachiosaurus that escaped its pen and is currently dying in the middle of the street. Cranes try to lift up the giant beast, but it doesn't work. A man then gets out of his car and remarks, "Rest in peace already, but get it the hell out of here." And obviously, this guy is the brother of the "he stinks and I don't like him" guy from Spider-Man. Zora, played by Scarlett Johansson, then notes how that's cold, before she then says how cold it is in New York this time of year. The man says they were supposed to meet elsewhere, but Zora says he isn't too hard to follow. The man turns out to be Krebs, a pharmaceutical representative who needs Zora, who is a covert agent, to help him procure something for him for a new medicine. He adds that she's good at not asking questions or dealing with ethical concerns. Zora says that one of her friends died on her last job and she doesn't want to do it. She thinks that he wants her to steal info, but he wants to go to the island to get dinosaur DNA so they can make heart medicine. Zora is not interested, but Krebs convinces her of this by telling her how many people die of heart disease and that she'll save millions of lives. He then mentions that they have deep pockets and will pay her handsomely. This gets her interested as he says that he'll pay her $10 million for it up front. He then mentions that since they're going to a place that's off-limit by every government, they have to be very careful, and the fact they are bringing a civilian there.
So they want to collect dinosaur DNA to create something to use on humans. Boy, there's a cool concept there that they didn't use.
A concept that they've been trying to use since Jurassic Park 3, I want to add.
Indeed.
We then cut to an animated sequence of dinosaurs dropping dead in the snow, as a narrator says that the Neo-Jurassic era has proven deadly for dinosaurs and that some dinosaurs can only survive in equatorial regions. It is such a cool idea of dinosaurs coming back and then they just pull the rug out from under us. It's like, nope, most of them just died off screen from the cold. Too bad.
Wow, it's like that Simpson episode with the lizards where Skinner explains how they're going to get rid of it. Oh, we're gonna get snakes, and then we're going to get the gorillas, and then the gorillas are gonna die in the winter or a cold. That's literally how they solve the issue here.
I was actually going to say it probably all died actually because Homer sneezed on them. This is going to cost me.
Also true.
It turns out that this is actually in a museum as Zora and Krebs walk past various dinosaur skeletons. And here we have the first of many Easter eggs that are supposed to be cool, but really just made me roll my eyes. This is the biggest one because we see the famous "When Dinosaurs Roamed the Earth" banner, which should be a cool thing, but the fact that it's literally just in the background, it's like, oh yeah, you gotta get that in for fan service. It doesn't feel earned in a way. Like, in the original Jurassic World, when they go into the ruins of the research station and they see the "When the Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth" on the ground, when they see the bones of the raptor that Rexy killed in the end, and they find the abandoned goggles from the first one, that at least felt earned. This is just fan service for fan service's sake. The pair then approach Dr. Loomis, a paleontologist, as he is packing up the skeletons, and right off the bat, this just lost me. Naming your character Dr. Loomis is such a stupid move because everyone is going to associate that name way more with the Halloween franchise than with your movie. Obviously, what's going to happen is we're going to get to a scene where he says, "I shot the raptor 6 times! I shot her 6 times!" And of course, lest we forget, we know what the ending is going to be. It's time, D-Rex. And then he lights a match and they both blow themselves up.
Yeah. Will be a better movie. Will be a better movie.
Yeah, I would not even give this movie Malcolm McDowell Loomis, let alone the Donald Pleance Loomis. But here's the weird part about this. Loomis, and I'm going to make the argument for I'm just going to call him the pharmaceutical executive from this point forward, are the only good characters in this movie. It's weird.
It is. It really, really is. It just is so strange how they have so many of these characters played again by really good actors and they're just so undercooked. Dr. Loomis says they're being shut down as Krebs introduces him to Zora as their mission specialist. Loomis says they don't know what they're talking about as Krebs explained to Zora that Dr. Loomis is helping them develop paleodioxin, a drug that is made from the largest dinosaurs. He says that it could help prevent heart disease by 20 years, then says, "Think about what that meant for your mother. Sorry about your loss," which is the best line in a movie I've heard since she was in the Amazon researching spiders when she died.
Oh gosh.
Krebs then says they can't do trials with the drug as they need living DNA, and Loomis says that they need the largest dinosaurs in both land, air, and sea. Zora asks why the largest dinosaurs, as Loomis explains that because they had larger pulmonary muscles, they lived the longest out of any dinosaur. Oh, go ahead, Math.
We got land, air, and sea. I'm amazed that they didn't just pull a fire temple out of their ass.
True, true. Although they would have had to find a fire-breathing dinosaur, so they probably would have had to go to Godzilla. He says that the dinosaurs they need are Mosasaurus, Titanosaurus, and Quetzalcoatlus. And obviously what we need the civilian to be Jimmy from Q the Winged Serpent, so Quetzalcoatlus can finally get her revenge on that piece of garbage.
Yep.
Ethan, thank you.
Loomis says that they lived for centuries, as Krebs again says how this will save millions. And Zora notes it will also make them lots of money. Loomis says that they have to get the blood from the dinosaurs while they're alive, to Zora's shock. Krebs says that they're putting a team together to go to the islands, and that they're leaving immediately. Krebs then tells Loomis that he's going as well, as they need someone to identify the dinosaurs and predict behavior. Loomis asks why they don't just call in the army, as Krebs says that's confidential, and Zora says that he can trust in her. And this is actually the second time that Scarlett Johansson has been in a movie with a bunch of reptiles where she has said the word "trust in me." Although unfortunately here she is not the reptile. Loomis then tells him that it is illegal, as Krebs convinces Loomis to do it with the idea that he can finally see a dinosaur in its natural habitat. Loomis then laments that no one cares about dinosaurs anymore, which, again, still really annoys me, as he says that they deserve better. Zora then adds that his entire life has been leading up to this moment, and here we get a moment that just feels so bizarre to me, because what happens is, We then get almost 30 seconds of Loomis just taking some mints, putting them in his mouth, and eating them. No music, no dialogue, just 30 seconds of this. I complained about Teen Titans Go the movie for having the Whirly Gogs song, which is just pure padding. But this is worse. This actually is worse. At least that has something interesting to watch. This is just nothing. Oh, go ahead, Math.
Okay, so I may joke around and yuck about being angry with movies or shows and all that kind of shit. I don't normally come in trying to be pissed off, or I don't come in with like the idea that I'm gonna be mad. Most of the time when I say that I am angry, I'm more playing it up for yucks than anything else. This right here actually genuinely pissed me off. This was 30 seconds. I actually recorded it to see how long it was, of Dr. Loomis eating an Altoid. That's it. Nothing else happens. Nothing's going on. Literally just 30 seconds of chew, chew, chew. See, I could kind of understand that if they needed to pad out the length a little bit because, oh, this was a short, like 70, 80 minutes, so they needed something in there for filler. This is over 2 fucking hours long. Why are you wasting my goddamn time with 30 seconds of chewing an Altoid?
You took the words right out of my mouth there, because again, this movie did not need that kind of padding.
Considering how this movie treats the dinosaurs, I guess they just wanted to have even less screen time of dinosaurs.
We then cut to a plane arriving to Suriname as the Jurassic Park theme plays, and I'm sorry, I'm still a sucker for the Jurassic Park theme. You can play it over anything, and it will make me think at least somewhat, yeah, that is cool. A group of fishermen get a large group of fish, including a giant one. Krebs enters a bar where a man wins at a poker game. The man, Captain Kincaid, is approached by Krebs. Kincaid, played by, and again, forgive me for pronunciation for this, Mahershala Ali, says that he can't go through with it. He says that he'd do it as a favor for Zora, but he can't as it's too risky for his boat. Loomis sees a baby pterodon in a cage and coos over it, as Zora and Krebs talks about Kincaid. Zora talks about how they know each other from way back as Krebs mocks Kincaid's drinking. Kincaid then says that he can't do it and that's final, as Zora says that Krebs can double her pay and she will use that to pay Kincaid and his crew. Kincaid agrees as he makes up a map saying that they're going to go through Barbados to avoid government patrols, but says they won't need to. When Krebs asks why, Kincaid says it's because no one is stupid enough to go where they're going.
So this back and forth with the double the pay thing, we skimmed over it. This was a solid 5 minutes of they had a coordinated plan to extort this guy for more money. So right from the get-go, minor spoilers, the characters that they, from this point forward, try to portray as the goodest good to ever good are presented initially as money-grubbing assholes, and the guy that they are now going to try and present as the Snidely Whiplash mustache-twirling villain is the guy that's trying to make a new healthcare medicine and is being extorted for money. They got this fucking backwards, and they could not fix it from this point.
Oh, easily. It's one of those things that, again, as we go on, we'll see more about how the characters act, and it is just something else with these mercenaries. It's like if they took the mercenaries from Jurassic Park 3 and tried making them the heroes, except that even they were better than these guys, because you had Udesky played by Michael Jeter, which no one in this movie is as cool as that. After going into another bar, which, as a cute little touch, it does have a stop-motion dinosaur movie playing on TV, makes me wish I'd be watching that one, unless, of course, it was Planet of Dinosaurs, because that movie actually might be worse than this, but that's for another time. Kincaid introduces them to Bobby, a security patrol officer, as Krebs asks why do they need him. Kincaid then points out that Krebs is sitting under a gigantic pair of teeth, before Kincaid says that they're going to deal with a live one of those. Bobby says that they can't do it, before Zora says, oh, we took care of it already, leading Bobby to ask when they're going, which, again, so this guy was going to extort the healthcare CEO for even more money.
Our heroes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep.
Cut to a boat sailing through the waters as we see 2 other crew members, Nina, a mercenary, and Leclerc, the pilot. And one thing to point out, Leclerc only speaks French throughout the entire movie because, I don't know, I guess they thought they could appeal to the French audience that way? Who knows? Krebs says that the Mosasaurus was trapped in captivity, so it should be easier to find it. Zora then asks, why can't the dinosaurs live on the mainland? Which, we're going to skip over this conversation because, again, they told us this 3 times already. They told us with the title card. They told us what the speech in the museum, and Loomis said about it. So this is the 4th time we are getting the same conversation in about 20 minutes. It's nuts.
Remember, a movie that's over 2 hours long, and you can see why it's being 2 hours long with stuff like this.
You don't understand, Lud. We're only a paltry 2 hours long. We have to do this. We gotta get up that runtime for reasons.
Krebs then notes that the Mosasaurus circles the island and that they're going to the island, which was research and development for InGen, but it is abandoned. Bobby then shows them neurotoxins that will be used to take out the dinosaurs, and then he starts taunting Loomis by saying, is it a crime to kill a dinosaur? As Loomis says, it's a sin to kill a dinosaur. And again, this comes completely out of nowhere. This guy starts taunting Dr. Loomis about that. They then have a conversation about whether it is right or wrong to do it, and a debate that, honestly, for me, I really cannot remember their arguments at all because it was just like static because we've gone through this through the previous 3 movies of Jurassic World. Please try to do something different. Krebs then tells them that they'll get the samples and go home, as Kincaid says that they'll do it first thing in the morning before asking how the extraction will work. We then cut to Loomis explaining that the darts they have collect blood samples, and they only have 1 shot each. A parachute in the rocket will launch it back towards them. Zora says that she'll do it, as Loomis says that he can handle it. She then takes him to the end of the deck and explains how difficult it will be, pretty much scaring the living bejesus out of the guy, and then mockingly says, oh yeah, but I'm sure you got this, which, this guy is a civilian. He's probably never been on a boat like this in his life. Our heroes, they're taunting the civilian who has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, let's be honest, the heroes hasn't been like the strongest parts of many Jurassic Park films. The third one where they're trying to save them, but they just end up killing more people. Yeah.
Yep, true. Although I will say this, the Kirbys were a lot better at this than these people were because, again, they were victims. Kincaid then laughs at Loomis as he goes into Zora to laugh about it. He then apologizes for what happened with Booker as she explains that he died in a car bomb in Yemen. She blames herself for what happened as Kincaid says she can't blame herself. Kincaid says that this kind of work will continue to break her as she says that's why I do it. She says that she missed her mother's funeral to go on this trip, which, again, definitely a good thing to do there. We then get a bit more character drama between Kincaid and Zora, as he says that his wife, Amelia, went their own separate ways. Zora then laughs at how pathetic they are, then says that they're going to get rich from this expedition, and that's all that matters, which, what this feels like, it feels like they took Rourke and Helga from Atlantis, and then they decided, let's make them the good guys.
10 minutes prior, we spent showing that these mercs are the scummiest of scumbags, and now we're going to spend the next 5 minutes doing interpersonal drama in the fucking dinosaur movie. God damn, I hate this every time. And we're going to humanize them and twist it. No, they're not the baddest of bad. They're actually the goodest of good. Fuck you, movie.
Kincaid says that it doesn't really matter, and what's important that they do something that really matters in life. We then cut to a sailboat 47 miles south from them, as a family is sailing across the Atlantic. Reuben, the father, is sailing along with his daughters Teresa and Isabella, as well as Teresa's boyfriend Xavier. Reuben asks about where Xavier is, as she says he is getting dressed. Then he teaches Isabel how to tie a knot, and, okay, you're on the ocean, you're learning about knot tying, why couldn't the Flying Dutchman show up to help him? The dinosaur's chain! The dinosaur's fist! The dinosaur!
And then you have their roaring thing. But yeah, that or a sea snail as well. They probably help.
Xavier then emerges as he is really kind of a surfer, slacker type of character in that. Like, I feel if this movie was made 20 years earlier, Jay from Jay and Silent Bob would basically be what this guy is.
Yep.
Reuben then has Xavier try to steer the boat, but he says he doesn't want to, making an excuse to get out of it. Reuben then gives up as Xavier then takes Isabel's candy and begins eating it, and he just walks back into the cabin. Now, Reuben is visibly annoyed at Xavier, which something that I can easily understand why, because for this part, this guy is such a jerk. I mean, granted, he does get some redemption later on, but right now, it really feels like, what do you see in this guy? And something else he does on the island also weighs into that, but, oh, go ahead, Matt.
What happened here is we were on the boat with the mercs, then just hard cut to this, and we are with this family for a solid 10 minutes before anything happens. I genuinely thought that the movie like cut to a different movie entirely at one point. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? What does this have to do with anything? Who are these people and why do I hate them?
What it feels like to me, it reminds me a little bit of the movie The Perfect Storm, where it cut to the other people in the sailboat. And again, in that movie, it felt a little bit more natural compared to this. Oh, go ahead, Shark.
Once again, I hope you don't want dinosaurs in your dinosaur movie, because we barely got any dinosaurs in this dinosaur franchise movie.
We're finally going to get to one now, because Teresa says there's a side of Xavier that Ruben doesn't see, as Isabella jokes the naked side, which, okay there. It turns out that Teresa is going to university, and this is their last hurrah as a family together. Teresa then notices something in the water as we finally get our first real dinosaur in the movie. It turns out to be the Mosasaurus, who begins slamming into the sailboat before knocking it over. Isabella says that she's scared of the thing before Ruben tries telling her that it's not that, trying to say, oh, it's a sailfish, or oh, it's a shark, because she is terrified of dinosaurs, which I give them credit. That's actually something that's very novel about this movie. I give them credit for that. Having a kid that is scared of dinosaurs. In all of the previous movies, the kid has been the one who loves dinosaurs. In the first one, it was Tim and Lex. In the second one, is Jeff Goldblum's daughter. In the third one, it was Eric. In the fourth one, it was the younger of the two boys. This one kind of breaking the mold. I do give them credit for that.
Without spoiling how, oh, they don't stick to this.
Yeah, a little bit of commentary on what you were saying, Lod. This is one of the very few times we actually see something like a war where dinosaurs came back. So a kid actually having a fear of dinosaurs is not imagination, because in their world, dinosaurs are real. So, hey, it makes sense that a kid will be actually afraid of dinosaurs.
Exactly. It's something that they actually did think out, which I give them credit for that. The three then land in the water as Teresa notes that Xavier was still inside in the cabin. Ruben then swims down to the cabin and tells Xavier to stay inside and let it get filled with water, then tells him to get the emergency radio. Ruben then swims away as Xavier gets out, but then bangs himself against the upside-down mast of the ship as the Mosasaurus swims by him. Ruben then emerges and tells Teresa and Isabel that he'll go back for Xavier, as they're currently on the underside of the boat. Xavier then emerges as the Mosasaur then chases him, but he manages to get to the underside of the boat. This just feels so weird, because if they pulled a Poseidon adventure and they said, oh, Xavier, you used to be a champion swimmer, that could at least make sense, but this guy is like a laid-back, surfer, stoner type of character, and more on the stoner part in a little bit, but I do not think this guy would be able to outswim a giant dinosaur like that. Xavier manages to get to the underside of the boat, and the Mosasaurus then passes underneath them as Xavier says that he actually got the radio, so he did something right there. We then cut to Kincaid's boat as Leclerc and Nina are busy flirting, while Zora stares out into the distance. Loomis arrives and says that he can't sleep, as they talk about her post-traumatic stress disorder and her past, with Zora trying to say she is not a mercenary, despite all evidence to the contrary. Loomis then talks about how his life is boring, and he's never done anything like this, which I have to be honest, Dr. Loomis is not a bad character, but this is such a stupid scene because Zora actually pours her heart out to this guy, why she is so reserved and withdrawn in that, and she is a messed up person. And then Dr. Loomis comes along and he's like, yeah, working in a museum is boring. I'm bored. I never thought I'd see this. Isn't this wonderful? It really feels like the original King Kong, I'm so excited. I've never been on a ship before. Go ahead, Matt.
I'll actually make the argument that this is why I think the pharmaceutical executive and Loomis are the only good characters. With Loomis, it's because he has this genuine earnestness to him that's presented throughout the whole movie. He genuinely cares about dinosaurs. He's genuinely excited for all the things that they're doing. He actually wants to do all this to help people. All of these things. It is shown throughout the movie, and that's at least one thing they get right about his character, that he consistently shows, no, this is just how he is and who he is, which is why I think he's like the best character in this whole thing.
I can definitely see where you're coming from. Again, he feels like the only one that is a really fully fleshed out character. Loomis then says about other things like he's never been shot at before, as Zora then bids him goodnight. We then cut to the next day where the boat is sailing towards the Mosasaur until they receive a distress call from Ruben. Leclerc is sleeping, but Kincaid manages to wake him up with a loud toy dinosaur. Kincaid then notices the Mayday call as we cut to them all outside. Zora asks if he heard it correctly, as Kincaid said he did, and it's 28 miles away. Bobby says that's in the opposite direction, as Zora is shocked that he wants to abandon them. Bobby says that they came from the Mosasaurus, but Zora says they can find it again. Nina says that they have visual on the Mosasaur, as Krebs agrees with Bobby. Kincaid, disgusted by this, tells them that they'll rescue the family first before anything. Krebs says that he didn't approve of this, as Kincaid says that it is his boat and his rules. Go ahead, Matt.
It's from this point that they start the whole, oh, the pharmaceutical executive is actually the villain. Wahaha. He didn't bring up that this is the opposite direction. That was the security merc that brought that up first, as he's trying to point out, hey, this is not a good idea, largely because any rational person would go like, oh, this is a group of highly trained, specialized people on a covert, secret, illegal mission. Yeah, probably bringing in random civilians is a bad idea. No, him having any kind of protest to this, oh, he's evil incarnate.
We then cut to the family as he manages to shoot out a flare and get the attention of the other boat. We then cut to them in Kincaid's boat as they tell the crew all about the Mosasaur. Kincaid is upset at Ruben for bringing a kid along with him. This guy was just a random civilian sailing with his family. It feels so stupid that Kincaid brings up a huge argument with Ruben about, oh, why'd you bring your kids along? You shouldn't have done that. It's like, what does it owe it to you? He's just a guy who's trying to sail. He didn't know it was dinosaur-infested waters. Zora then manages to break up the argument, and she wonders why it attacks the sailboat, as Loomis says that it probably thought the boat was a rival, which actually has happened with killer whales attacking yachts. They're so large, they see these yachts and they think that, oh, it's another predator, I must attack it, which they are predators, but not in the way that killer whales think of them. Krebs then tells them to get the mission back on track, as the family asks why they are talking about, but they're left in the dark about it. Xavier then says that Krebs is creeping him out, as Ruben asks if they can be dropped off at the mainland. The crew then notices the signal is doubling as the Mosasaur is approaching the boat, with Krebs saying that, you found it, before Loomis says that, it found us. The alarm then goes off, as Ruben then says, oh please, oh no, in almost a resigned tone of voice, which is unintentionally funny because this guy and his family had literally just been through hell trying to deal with this dinosaur, and they were terrified with it, and now the same exact thing is happening. And yet he already knows what's going to happen. It's crazy.
Also, the way he says those words kind of reminds me of, you probably heard of this infamous scene where there's a guy that reads a letter and then starts going, oh man, oh god, oh man, oh god, oh man, oh god, oh man. It's a very infamous scene. I don't remember the name of the movie, but if you search oh man, oh god, it's very likely it's gonna be the first thing to pop out.
I don't know what the name of the movie is. I do know who the actor that did that was Ryan O'Neal, who actually was a really good actor. If you haven't seen Paper Moon, go see Paper Moon. He is excellent in that. But getting back to this, the Mosasaur then begins attacking the boat as Teresa says that they're chasing the dinosaur. Krebs tell them they will be a couple of minutes and they'll take them to the island to find shelter. The Mosasaur then swims by the boat as Zora has Loomis tie her to the rail so she can shoot it. The dinosaur then breaches as Zora fires at it, but she misses. Kincaid gets her another dart as she prepares to fire, but the Mosasaur then slams into the boat, causing her to nearly fall off and dangle over the edge. As she is upside down, Loomis then saves her as she then successfully manages to get the blood sample. Loomis grabs the sample from the parachute as all the crew then embrace. We then cut to inside the boat where Loomis tries convincing Zora to not let a big medical corporation get a hold of such a life-saving medicinal find. He says that science is for all of us, not some of us, as she obviously doesn't think so. She just wants to get the bag.
This was a really weird thing that happened all at once in this movie. And the previous movies have been, oh, the environment, and it's actually man that's the greatest evil and all this. And suddenly we have, oh, anti-corporatism in this movie. And it just comes out of nowhere. And it's so weird. Let's see, this guy is paying tens of millions of dollars for a dangerous expedition to try and procure ingredients needed for a very big cure that will help millions of people. Yeah, he's evil and corporations are evil. They're all evil.
We then get to the family who are traumatized by this as they had literally gone through the same thing only a little bit earlier. Teresa notes that the Mosasaurus is coming back, and it turns out to be actually flanked by some Spinosaurs. And one thing that is a missed opportunity, they should have had them all play the little cell phone jingle from Jurassic Park 3. Loomis then says about how the Spinosaurs are actually helping out the Mosasaur hunt, as Kincaid and the others shoot at them. Bobby is attacked by one and manages to hold on to the boat door as Isabella sees him before he gets dragged off and is eaten off screen. And again, they play this like such a big dramatic moment, but it fails to take into account not less than 10 minutes earlier, this guy was going to abandon the family to their deaths, and he just instantly is killed off. And you think it'd be a moment of car ethic, but they play it off like it's a tragedy.
Yeah, I can see the problem with that, obvious.
Mosasaur then emerges again, snapping at Zora. Isabella nearly slides into its mouth before Ruben saves her. The boat begins sailing away as Kincaid decides to go into the rocks. Obviously, he took sailing advice from Patrick Star and SpongeBob SquarePants. You're good, you're good, you're good, you're good. Moving behind the rocks. Why he's doing this is because Kincaid says that the Mosasaur cannot go into shallow waters, which, honestly, that is a pretty good idea right there. I give him credit for that. That is clever. We then cut to inside the boat as Ruben says that he cannot feel his legs, and Zora gets them ready to jump out. Nina watches the dinosaurs approach as Kincaid says that the engine is overheating. Ruben tells Teresa to go inside and pull out a mayday. As she starts doing so, Kreb tries to stop her, saying, "Oh, we can handle it ourselves." He then begins fighting with her, and she ends up dangling outside of the boat. She manages to slip off, and Krebs just watches her go in. And is at this point I wonder, shouldn't we give him a handlebar mustache and him to twirl?
See, this is a point that I had brought up when I was watching this, and I will be bringing up again as it goes later into the movie. He's talking to the girl. He's like, hey, don't do this. Largely because they're on an illegal expedition, so they would get in big O trouble-o. And he pushes him, and because the boat is rocking, she ends up falling out backwards. He bumps his head against the steel floor, probably has a minor concussion. He's slow to get up, and she falls down before he can even get up. And that is somehow presented as, oh, he did nothing and let her fall. And even to the point of, oh, he's the reason that she fell out in the first place. We are not seeing what the movie is trying to present.
It is so strange. It really feels like a bizarre version of Show Don't Tell in that way. Xavier then dives in, followed by Ruben and Isabella as the boat keeps on going. The Mosasaur continues to attack the boat as they manage to go behind the rocks, scraping the side of the boat. They then get into the shallows as Zora and the others all jump off the boat, while Kincaid drives off before the boat runs aground. He barely manages to make it as we cut to the family making it to safety. Teresa tells Xavier about Krebs as Xavier says, "I knew he was creepy." Ruben and Isabella then arrive as they all swim to safety. We then cut to Krebs running desperately to the shore as Loomis tells him to keep moving as Spinosaurus is amphibious. He then sees a giant footprint in the sand as they run off. The clerk manages to get out of the engine room as Kincaid sees a picture of his son and puts it away, saying that they made it. Nina, meanwhile, struggles with a raft while a Spinosaurus lurks in the background. And this actually was a jump scare that did legitimately get me. I'm not gonna lie. The Spinosaur then lunges at her, attacking the woman and actually managing to kill her, which surprised me that they just killed her off so quickly.
This is the most PG-13 death I have ever, well, not seen, because what happened is they had this giant bag of supplies. She's behind it, the Spinosaur is behind it, and we see her, well, don't see her, get caught by the Spinosaur. She just grabs onto the top of the bag, is holding on, and then she's pulled away, and we don't even see her being pulled away. Like, there, we only see the initial thing of her jumping up on top of trying to hold on, and that's it. Everything else is just hidden behind the bag. And it's weird that a over $200 million budget movie just didn't show anything. I would have thought to save money, but again, $200 million, so that ain't it.
Exactly. It's so weird. And again, it's trying to do like Show Don't Tell. It completely reverses that. It is so weird, especially for a franchise like the Jurassic World franchise. Oh, go ahead, Chuck.
Well, my guess is that if they make it too violent or show too much, then even the little kids won't be able to go in without their parents, and we need that little kid money.
Man, we're going to talk about the original sometime just to point out what that did right, what this did wrong. Kincaid then cries out to her as the water turns blood red and he pulls out her bandana. We then cut to the family heading into a cave as Ruben tells a traumatized Isabella that they'll be okay. The group then leaves the cave to see a vast jungle ahead of them. Xavier then makes a quote-unquote joke about old people buying a bed that is their deathbed. a line that literally makes no sense and adds absolutely nothing to the movie. Ruben tells them all we're going to go and find the village to radio for help, which is something that adds to the movie. Oh, go ahead, Math.
A line that makes no sense and adds nothing to the movie. For this movie, I have but one thing to say. Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
We then cut to the mercenaries as Krebs tells Zora that the dinosaurs there are actually mutants, as Loomis tells them that they have to get going. Krebs tells everyone that this is where InGen made experiments to crossbreed for the theme park, as both Zora and Kincaid are disgusted at this, which, again, this guy does not work for InGen. If there was like a Disney twist villain thing, and it turns out he was an InGen executive all along, wanting to get dinosaur research, that would at least make sense, but he's just telling them about it. Krebs then says that InGen left the mutants on the island that they're currently on. Loomis tells him why didn't they just kill them, as Krebs says that they probably cost too much for InGen, as Loomis argues with him, which, again, Krebs does not work for InGen. I have to wonder if there was an original draft where he was an InGen executive or something like that, because otherwise it makes no sense. This guy has nothing to do with Jurassic Park or Jurassic World. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, this is another point in my the business executive did nothing wrong thing. He's just explaining what they did. He's not even justifying it. He's just explaining why they did this, why they made the decisions they did, and the entire rest of the crew is acting like he is the one that did it himself or is justifying it somehow. Like, we are not watching the same fucking thing happen here.
Zora then finally has enough of this and says that they're all in it for the money and that they'll get the dinosaurs no matter what. She then marches off into the jungle as Kincaid says they should try to rescue the family first. Zora then tells them her backup plan. She hired a team to monitor their radio frequency and says if they don't hear from them within 2 days, the rescue team will go to the helipad. She then says if the rescue team doesn't see them, they'll be stuck there, so they have to get the high ground. If only Obi-Wan was there, because as we all know, he always has the high ground. The group then go through the jungle as a dinosaur roars in the distance. We then cut to an establishing shot of the jungle, as Ruben discovers a pipe with the InGen logo on it, saying that it's warm and they have geothermal energy there. He says it might lead to a village, as Teresa sarcastically says that they should call the guy who tried to kill her, which again, they hammer this at this point. Ruben then says that they're going to go to the village to get a radio, as Xavier then makes the amazing suggestion of this. They should just stay and smoke some dank weed. Which, this honestly is really what made me dislike Xavier. Xavier adds nothing to the movie. At least with Jurassic Park 3, people like to criticize the Kirby family, but at least the Kirbys were the victims in the situation, and they did have legitimately good banter, and at least it gave us the classic line of, "What's a bad idea?" through the megaphone, which still gets me laughing. But this guy just does nothing for practically the whole movie. Although, one thing that did make me laugh was Ruben's completely blank stare at Xavier after he said that, which is just a look of, it looks like a cross between confusion and disgust, which, I'm sorry, that is a great reaction right there. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Also, from this point forward, I would like to bring attention to what I have called Ruben's Schrodinger's leg. In the boat, it was presented that he had his leg broken, and from this point forward, it either is or is not broken. Either he will be walking on a limp or he will be running perfectly fine, depending on what the scene calls for, because, hey, consistency, what's that?
Teresa tries to explain to her father that Xavier was joking, but Ruben doesn't believe her. We then get another establishing shot of the jungle, as Zora tells Kincaid that the family might be headed towards the village. Loomis says that they'll reach by the Titanosaur by dawn, as Zora then notices that something moved by her leg. She then asks Kreb how the daughter fell off the boat, showing that she is now suspicious of him. Kincaid, meanwhile, asks Loomis about his life, as we get to the second of references that made me eye roll, because Loomis says, "Oh, I was a student under Dr. Alan Grant," and another reference that really just made me roll my eyes. Like, okay, yeah, we gotta connect it to the previous film no matter what.
Real quick, and I'm gonna bring this up later. Zora, when speaking to the pharmaceutical executive, basically told him, when we find the family, if the girl says one bad thing about you, as far as why she fell out, I'm gonna kill you. Keep that in mind for later, please.
Kincaid, meanwhile, talks about how he hates the jungle and he refuses to die in it, Loomis then says that he hopes to die by being buried by silt so he can be fossilized for the future. Loomis and Kincaid then have another conversation about humans being the real monsters compared to dinosaurs because we have the capacity to annihilate ourselves, which, just give me a break. I rolled my eyes at that. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Ah, there's the Jurassic World movies I know and love to hate. The real villain of any story that involves nature.
Yeah, and especially with what they say that, oh, it's because humans are the only ones who annihilate each other, and it's like, my people, dinosaurs eat each other. Don't say that. They're completely innocent between themselves.
A snake then attacks Kreb as Zora saves him, saying that each day could be their last. We then cut to the family as Isabella attempts to pick a plant, but is startled by a tiny dinosaur. Ruben tells her it's a herbivore, as Teresa shoos it away. Ruben then says that he respects Xavier for jumping in after Teresa, as Xavier just chuckles and walks away. Ruben then notes how hard it is for him to like Xavier to his daughter. Xavier then says, "All right, let's do this," and begins cutting through the plants before a dinosaur roars, and then he says, "Let's do this," in that direction, which, okay, that's a cute joke. We then cut to the crew walking through the jungle as Loomis tells them about the other two dinosaur species they have to get blood samples from. Krebs then stops to get water before noticing a pair of dog tags in there, then looks up to see a smashed military plane in the trees. He then pokes at it with a stick. Obviously, he learned about it from Fry and Leela. You don't lick things, you just poke them with a stick. We then cut to it being at night. Xavier returns with sticks and tells Ruben that he's going to watch the fire before telling him that hopefully the pipes will lead to a village. Ruben again talks about how he was wrong about Xavier, before Xavier admits that he is very lazy. Ruben then thanks Xavier again for saving his daughter and tells him about she sees you as you really are as they begin to bond, which, again, just made me roll my eyes here. Xavier then leaves to relieve himself while the tiny dinosaur from before comes to Teresa. She then leads it in E.T. style by feeding it pieces of candy, before it then sleeps next to her.
This baby dinosaur that they call Dolores. All I could think as I was watching this thing throughout the entire movie is, it's not fair that Disney has Baby Yoda. We want our own Baby Yoda too.
Exactly, because we will definitely see more about Dolores in a little bit. Oh, go ahead, Shark.
Easily, because, yeah, we can clearly see this character was made for one reason and one reason only. Boy them all! Boy them all! Boy them all!
Merchandising.
We then cut to Xavier relieving himself as a velociraptor approaches them. He is unaware of this as a winged raptor pterosaur hybrid then swoops down and kills the raptor. He manages to turn to see it flying off with his prey as he gasps in shock before finishing, which... We then cut to the mercenaries in tall grass as Loomis says that the titanosaurs should be close and that they're herbivores, but what attacks them aren't. And of course, since they're in tall grass, obviously Professor Oak should have warned them about this. A rustling then happens in the tall grass as nothing seems to happen before a tail appears next to Loomis. The titanosaurs then raise their heads up and begin bellowing as music plays. Now, I will say this, I do like the titanosaurs designs because they are easily the largest dinosaurs ever seen in the franchise, and I do like that they made them gentle giants in that. They resemble sauropods, they have much darker scales. Yeah, they look really, really good. I will admit that much. Loomis runs past him before falling, as Zora playfully calls him an adventure jockey. Loomis then says that they're distracted by something, as Zora asks, by what? Krebs then says, you don't see that every day, which only made me think of one thing. Man, this movie would be so much better if they replaced all the humans with the talking flowers from Mario Wonder.
Yep.
They just randomly wash up on the island and they're like, yo, whose house is that?
And of course, the ones wondering, I wonder what dinosaurs taste like.
True. We gotta get that one in there. Loomis then touches its leg in wonder as tears well up in his eyes, which, again, is a good moment because this is the moment he has been waiting for his entire life. And to actually see that happen is a really, really good moment. Like, this movie is not 100% trash. It does have its good moments, but Zora then watches the dinosaurs graze, then shoots at one with the dart. They then play the Jurassic Park theme as Kincaid manages to catch the sample. The titanosaurs then all walk off, and a part that, I know it's supposed to be Jurassic Park in the beginning with the sauropods and that, but For me, it reminded me a lot more of Fantasia, the part with the Rite of Spring. I wonder if that was an intentional reference. They then see the Quetzalcoatlus as high up, with Kincaid joking to Loomis that he hopes the doctor isn't afraid of heights. We then cut to the family following the pipe as Reuben continues to limp along. They then see Isabella with the baby dinosaur, leading it along as Teresa says that she should do that. Isabella then says that she's calling the baby dinosaur Dolores, and as you mentioned earlier, Dolores is the toyetic character of the movie. And what's even funnier, it became the main crux of the social media advertising of this movie. They actually pulled a Clod from Elemental. Oh, Dolores is so cute. Go see Jurassic World Rebirth right now. They literally did that in the advertising.
You don't say.
Isabella then says that she'll take the dinosaur home, as Teresa and Reuben are unsure about that. Xavier and the others then continue to walk while we're falling down a hill, with Dolores in tow. The tiny dinosaur then notices something and runs off, as Isabella wonders what she's scared of. The group then sees a river and a potential boat, as Teresa manages to wade across it. After she gets to the other side, she sees a dinosaur corpse, before Dilophosaurus appears and roars at her. It then runs off as it turns out that a T-Rex is near her and is peacefully sleeping. She then runs into the boat where she looks for supplies, only for bats to fly out at her. She then finds an emergency raft and drags it out while trying to keep the T-Rex asleep. Isabella, meanwhile, is trying to shoo Dolores away, as we cut to Teresa dragging the raft along as the T-Rex slowly wakes up. Her family then tries telling her not to inflate the raft on land as she does so. She then leaps into the raft and begins paddling, as the T-Rex begins waking up and walking in the background, with it being too distracted with drinking water to notice. And one thing I want to point out, the moment we're going to talk about right now, this is actually taken from the original Jurassic Park book. It was almost adapted in the first Jurassic Park, but they didn't because time constraints. But with that being said, I have to imagine the scene in the book was far and away better than what we get here.
Oh, so one of the very few scenes with a dinosaur action in this movie was just taken from somewhere else.
Yep, that says a lot about this movie. But Isabella then leads Dolores away from her as Reuben, Xavier, and her all make it to the raft. They then begin rowing away from the T-Rex, and at least it's not the one Mario Party minigame. They'll have to rotate the stick and hurt their palms.
Oh god, thank goodness that wasn't.
Rexy then notices them and starts chasing the raft, eventually knocking it over as she roars. The group is then taken by the water current as Rexy chases them and roars. Reuben then floats near the T-Rex, who lunges at the man. He then dives under the water as the T-Rex does the same, snapping at him. Reuben then saves Teresa and Xavier as they hide behind a rock formation, but it turns out Isabella is trapped under the raft. The T-Rex then snaps at her as we get a good shot of her hiding, with the T-Rex's jaws appearing in the rubber, which is kind of like the first one with the Jeep in the T-Rex paddock, but that being said, it is unique enough to where I actually kind of like it. We then get another good paced jump scare here, which I give him credit is due. This also actually got me. It seems like everything is peaceful that the T-Rex went and left her alone. It then all of a sudden strikes, picking up the raft and putting it in her mouth and shaking it. Reuben begins weeping as the T-Rex continues to bite the raft before Isabella shows up, having escaped literally seconds before it attacks. The T-Rex then chases her as Isabella tries to swim faster than the T-Rex. She then manages to get in just as Rexy snaps at them, with her jaws getting trapped inside of a rock formation before, in the epic climax to this sequence, the T-Rex just gives up and walks away. Which really just feels like a missed opportunity. You think that it would it sees that it can't get through the rocks, so maybe it tries smashing through with its body or something like that, and they'd have more of a downhill chase, but it literally felt like they just took the easiest way out of this. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
I won't fault this scene too much because, to be fair, the Rex took a nap. She's a little sluggish. I can forgive that. Though I will admit that I also like the little touch that her just throwing back the frick raft as a little "screw you guys" is honestly kind of funny. Yeah, even if it's not as climactic as one would hope, it's still nice.
I went into this scene expecting nothing because when I first saw Rexy, I was like, oh, goody, Rexy's in this movie. I can't wait to see how they mess her up. She's defeated by two rocks that are smaller than her, that they have shown in wide shots he could easily go around and doesn't, and then in a final act of whatever, she throws the raft over the rocks so that the family has it, as if nothing happened. So this scene was completely and totally pointless. Congratulations, movie. I expected nothing and I'm still upset.
Again, this scene was originally taken from a cut version of the first movie. They just placed it in for, oh, we need an action scene with a dinosaur.
We then cut to another establishing shot of the mountains where we cut down to the crew. Zora says that it's a vertical hang and that they're going down. Loomis says that he saw the Quetzalcoatlus circling a ledge. As Kreb asks why do they have to get it from an egg, Loomis retorts that they're flying carnivores the size of an F-16 as a group all prepare to rappel downwards. Leclerc goes down first as Loomis appears to be afraid, but Zora tries to comfort him. He nervously says that he has a climbing wall at home, but Kincaid points out the reality of the situation in a joke. Loomis then rappels downwards in, honestly, a pretty well done shot. Like, the cinematography of this movie is noticeably better than Dominion. I will say that. It does look as a good movie at times. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Also, a thing to note here, there are legit ruins on this island filled with dinosaurs, which makes you think, did this island used to be inhabited by natives once upon a time? Because if so, I'd love to see more detail about that in maybe another movie. Probably won't.
What are these ruins? Who was here? Why are they here? These questions and more will never be explained.
Yeah, exactly. It is so strange. Zora asks if he thinks it's fun, as Kincaid then sees a lizard enters what appears to be a temple, letting go of the rope and sending Loomis rappelling down faster. He nearly hangs off as Zora says they only have 40 feet to go. The pair then rappel into the ancient temple, which again is never explained. Maybe Olmec will be there with the Shrine of the Silver Monkey.
Nice.
Zora and Loomis then go in. Loomis then picks up an egg and takes it before he inserts the sample into the egg. Zora then asks what an alternative will be to giving the samples to Krebs' company. Loomis says that they can make the medicine open source and make it open to the whole wide world. Zora, of course, laments about having any money in it, which, again, are heroes, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Though I will say that Dr. Loomis does have an interesting idea here, because like he claims to be in it for just the money, as no doubt the other doctor has ultimately said, but here he's going a little more analog, not giving out to some big corporation, but he's actively teasing the idea of being a little more local than that. Mad props where it's due. I absolutely appreciate that he's not just in it for some big buck scheme. It's somewhat that, but it has more heart to it.
I can kind of see where you're coming from there. Like I say, Loomis is really the best character of the movie that they depict as a hero. I will say that. Oh, go ahead, Math.
This is the really confusing part that I just don't understand why the movie keeps trying to push this. Oh, the pharmaceutical executive is evil because he wants to be able to make money from this because, you know, billions of dollars of research and discovery and all that shit. Oh, by the way, we, the good guys, are only here to get paid. What the fuck?
Leclerc is then seen rappelling downwards as he then sees Quetzalcoatlus flying towards him. It then ends entering the temple as it begins attacking them, protecting her eggs. Zora has Loomis throw her the sample as it lands near the dinosaur. Leclerc distracts the dinosaur by throwing a knife at her head, only for her to notice him and start growling. Leclerc has Kincaid and Krebs pull him up, as Loomis is also dragged out of the temple and the sample with him. Loomis then manages to swing over to get the sample as Kincaid and Krebs pulls up the rope, only to see Leclerc is getting swallowed alive by the Quetzalcoatlus, which, I'm going to be honest, this was a good scene. That actually was a good scare, and it's a really unique kill that we haven't seen before in Jurassic Park franchise. Someone getting swallowed whole and alive, and it is pretty cool with how the legs kick in that. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
It's not exactly that double vor moment from Jurassic World where that woman gets swallowed by a pteranodon before getting swallowed by the mosasaur. That is definitely one of those unique kills that rarely is ever delivered in these kinds of films anymore.
It is kind of creative, and this movie does have good moments when it does have them. Once she swallows his legs, she then corners Kincaid and Krebs, who runs into the temple. Loomis, meanwhile, falls off the mountain literally as he gets the sample, as he lands onto some trees and into a river. And when I first saw this, I thought they were going to kill him off, because the way it's shot and the way he hits the trees, he would have been dead. He would have instantly been dead as he hits the river, but no. He is completely unharmed, not a scratch on him, so I guess we can prove he's immortal for this.
Yeah, honestly, the fact that he was able to survive all that is not only a stroke of luck, but there is some validity behind it. Not a lot, but some.
Kincaid and Krebs then shows up from the temple like Zora following them. They all pack the samples as Zora says they can finally go home, with Kincaid having his doubts. We then cut to the family rowing in the raft as Ruben embraces Isabella. Night falls, so they manage to make it to the research center and go inside of it. We then cut to the mercenaries as they see the helipad, with Kincaid saying he sees no sign of the family. Loomis asks if it's possible for them to even get there, as Zora notices footprints. Krebs says it could be from an animal, as she says that no, it's Nike sneakers. He tries to deflect the situation, as Zora then says, nobody asks what you think, which, again, they make him a villain when he's not a villain. I hate that we keep hammering the same point in, but the movie does too, so you can't blame us for that.
Yeah, to be fair, you don't exactly know that he's not the villain yet, so the fact you're trying to pull the whole duel thing with him and the other doctor is understandable, but it can kind of make it a little hard to sit through when it eventually decides to overstay its welcome.
The family and the mercenaries eventually meet up as Teresa asks where Krebs is as he let her fall. Krebs then arrives and, to cement his villainy, he pulls out a gun on all of them as Teresa yells about him letting her fall. He then asks for the suitcase and handcuffs himself to it and says that they're all going to wait for the helicopter together. The family is in disbelief that a helicopter is coming as Krebs says that we'll all go on the helicopter and let's forget this ever happened, which would seem like the logical ending, but this movie is where logic goes to die. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
The movie tries to present the pharmaceutical exec as the bad guy because he has the gun. I would like to bring up the earlier point I made that ScarJo character said, if the teenage girl says anything bad, I'm going to kill you. So obviously he needs to defend himself from the woman who literally threatened his life. Like, what the fuck is the... And it's not like, oh, I'm going to take this and I'm going to abandon you all here or I'm going to kill you all now. No, it's just like, hey, I have this to defend myself. We're going to get in the helicopter. We're all going to leave. Everything's going to be hunky-dory. You're all still getting paid. How is he the villain?
It is so weird. So weird. A loud noise is then heard as Loomis notices the generators are turning on because it's on a timer. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, circling back to that whole doctor thing, like, yeah, compared to someone like Green, who is willing to just let his whole thing just destroy all the crop for dinosaurs, and not to mention the whole underground dinosaur selling thing, this guy, he's just a little bit eccentric. He's not exactly a Jurassic Park villain, he's just a character from Smiling Friends.
It's one of the character moments that really does not make sense in any possibility. A dinosaur then roars in the distance as the lights turn on and music begins to play. Several mutant dinosaurs all appear, including the winged raptor from earlier. The family and Zora all run into the gas station and barricade the doors. Loomis and Kincaid then run into the research lab and barricade the doors there. The lights then turns on in the lab as Loomis is in awe over what it is. Zora then runs outside and slides under the Jeep with Krebs as they both shoot at the dinosaurs. Krebs is then picked up by the flying raptor and dropped onto the ground, which does not kill him, surprisingly enough. His death is a lot more violent, but we'll get to that in a bit. Isabella then notices that Dolores is with them and goes with the tiny dinosaur as another dinosaur mutant lurches down from the ceiling. It then turns on a display of a cartoon dinosaur ordering soda as it then drops down from the ceiling. Isabella and Dolores then hide inside a drink cabinet as the dinosaur approaches, peering in at the reflection. The rest of the group then distract the dinosaur by throwing cans on the ground, then doing the same with bottles. The dinosaur continues to wander around the store as Isabella then meets up with their family. The dinosaur then notices the water and other liquids are going down a drain. It turns out to be the family having escaped in the grate as they all go through the vents. And obviously this is such a missed opportunity. We could have had a cameo from John McClane. Come to Jurassic World, we'll get together, have a few laughs. Oh, go ahead, Matt.
Like any bad video game, because let's be fair, that's what this is at this point. They have to have a sewer level.
Yep.
Eh, but at least it's not the TMNT one from the NES days.
I was just about to mention that with the electrified seaweed. Kincaid finds out about there being an underground tunnel system as Loomis sees a two-headed dinosaur in InGen's research and gasps in horror. The helicopter then approaches and Kincaid says he's going to get the kids and for Loomis to set off a flare. Loomis prepares to do so, but the D-Rex is back. We cut to the helicopter patrolling the island and looking for survivors. The pilots don't see anything as we cut to Krebs and Zora still hiding. Krebs then sees the car keys and steals them before getting in the car, driving off, and leaving Zora, which, okay, this is legitimately probably the first evil thing he did in the movie. But then again, she was gonna kill him, so like, why would he save her? But I do understand what they meant with that, because, oh yeah, he abandoned the family to die, but for all he knew, they were in the gas station. Oh, go ahead, Meth.
I actually make the argument he didn't just abandon Zora. He was sitting there idle for a few seconds. She ran off in the other direction, and then he started driving off. She left him, didn't come with him. It looked like they were presenting it as he was waiting for her to get in, and she just didn't. So he was like, okay, fuck it. I'm a civvy. You can handle yourself. I'm out of here.
Zora, meanwhile, hides in the bushes as the mutant dinosaur sees them. Then it hears the family in the underground tunnels. I do like this one because it does show what the hell InGen has been doing. The dinosaur manages to squeeze itself in through the gate, which some animals can actually do, like octopi can go through such small surfaces in that it is a cool touch that they have the dinosaurs being able to do that. That's a power that is legitimately creative. We then cut to Loomis as he makes it to the helipad and sets off a flare, letting the pilots know that they're there. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, same with cats and some species of spiders and caterpillars, but I digress.
Loomis is trying to call the chopper over, as it turns out that smoke starts to appear. The helicopter is in the D-Rex's mouth, who continues to bite into it before taking it out of her mouth and throwing it away, causing it to explode right in front of Kincaid, which, that was actually clever. That was a little bit of a clever twist on things, because they think the helicopter is going to come, they're going to make a big rescue scene that... Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, I like those little touches where they can still be clever despite all the substandard stuff in this movie. First was Zora making the spray getting in her eyes, making it hard to aim, and it happens to her, so there's build up there. There's a cute little moment with the Titanosauruses that I'll admit definitely warranted the Jurassic Park theme. So it was cute. It showed the majesty and all that, and I very much appreciate that. And this here especially, the D-Rex doing the chopper fake out, and it is amazing. And also the cut the quadless. But stuff like this definitely shows that this has a lot more heart than expected, even if it's more sparse than in something like, say, Dominion.
I definitely understand where you're coming from there. Oh, go ahead, Meth.
The chopper coming through the smoke and it actually just being held up in the dinosaur's mouth is a great idea that is unfortunately undermined by the fact of the D-Rex looks like shit.
Kincaid manages to meet up with the family inside of the tunnel, and as Loomis goes down there with them, he tells them all of his plan of using the drainage tunnel to get to the sea, and then taking the boat back to civilization. Isabella asks what will happen if the boat doesn't work, as Kincaid tries telling her that nobody is going to get hurt no matter what. We then cut to Krebs driving off in the car, which has its alarm and GPS voice, and it's just blaring noise. Krebs' driving here is about as good as what Nedry did. Zora then makes it into the tunnel before she runs into the family. And here is the moment that really just kind of broke me. I mean, the movie wasn't good beforehand, but this really lowered it in my eyes because she sees the mutant dinosaur behind them and she manages to shoot at the dinosaur with her pistol, which manages to kill it. And just to make this clear, in the first movie, Muldoon, who was a trained big game hunter, had to use specialized rifles to try to take out a velociraptor, and he failed miserably. And yet, a normal woman, okay, she's a mercenary, but still, with a handgun, managed to take out a mutant dinosaur. What are we doing here?
It was definitely the moment for Scarlett Johansson to shine at that point, so might as well shine where she can, you know?
Zora then tells them all about Krebs, as Kincaid says that if Krebs gets there before they do, he'll leave them all to die, which, I don't know, I don't know if he would, even after all this, you know? The group managed to make it to the gate, which is locked. None of them can get through the gates to get to the control panel, as Teresa knows that the dinosaur is back. Another dinosaur, not the one that Zora just killed, because they're not Michael Myers. They can't regenerate or teleport.
Exactly.
But it turns out that Isabella is small enough to slip through the bars as she goes to the panel. Before she can press it, The D-Rex then appears as the other dinosaur mutant enters the tunnel. Isabella then opens the gate as the D-Rex peers at them before being distracted by a light. It turns out to be Krebs in the Jeep as he tries to drive past the D-Rex, but instead crushes the front of his Jeep. The group then all gets out of the tunnel with Kincaid leaving last. And here we get Krebs' big death scene. Krebs is then picked up by the D-Rex, who bites his head off and drops his body, his hand still holding the suitcase, which is a really anticlimactic death for quote-unquote the main villain. The babysitter in the first Jurassic World got a more horrific death than this.
Yeah, I definitely agree that this was definitely not the most brutal big bad ending like with Green or Wayne Knight from the first Jurassic Park movie. But not gonna lie, that beheading though, it's still pretty brutal when a dinosaur just takes a good look at you, decides to eat the one thing that ultimately matters to you, in this case his head, and just drops you with little regard for anything else. Like, that is a very specific level of disrespect.
Zora then grabs the suitcase as they all make it to the port. They turn the power on to lower the boat, but the winch turns out to be jammed. The D-Rex then approaches them as it notices Isabella the most. Kincaid realizes that it's attracted to light and sets off a flare, drawing attention to the D-Rex. He then tells all the others to go as he leads the D-Rex into the water, holding the flare all the while before it corners him by a tree. The D-Rex then roars as the rest of the group gets the boat going. Zoran then calls out for Kincaid as Ruben tries to turn on the boat before the D-Rex approaches them. It manages to slowly loom over the boat as, in the greatest climax ever filmed, they manage to sail away, and the D-Rex just begins smashing up the port in anger. That is the big confrontation with the big bad dinosaur, which all of the other Jurassic World movies, even Dominion, managed to do it better than this. This isn't even a climax. Oh, go ahead, Shark.
See, the D-Rex just ate Krebs, so he can swim for until 30 more minutes.
Nice. We then cut to the boat sailing away as the group all stare into the distance before a flare is set off. It turns out to be Kincaid, who is alive. And one good thing to point out, he could obviously talk with the guy from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3 with characters who obviously were supposed to die, but reshoots saved them.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
The group all then reflect what happens with a soft piano rendition of the Jurassic Park theme playing. Zora then notices that they still have the suitcase, and she plans to still give the information to the world. And one thing to also point out here, Isabella still has Dolores. It's still hiding in her backpack. So that certainly won't be a problem when they get back to the mainland. Oh, go ahead, Math.
So, the pharmaceutical executive, who I have said throughout this entire thing did nothing wrong, dies in the most anticlimactic way possible, and the money-grubbing assholes not only survive, but pretend like we're gonna now give this out for free to the world to be good, because the guy who was paying them and had their contract, is dead, so they have no way of getting paid, so they can just look good, rather than, get nothing in general. I feel like the villains won in this movie.
They did. They definitely did.
Yeah, for the most part. If it wasn't for the fact that they would ultimately be doing this, again, analog, then I would absolutely agree. At least Zora can stop by to King Zora to offer this to Sidon. I'm sure they could definitely get paid more handsomely than whoever's paying them right now.
Which is no one. The movie ends with Zora noticing dolphins as they all watch them and they sail away as the Jurassic Park theme song plays. And I think I can sum up my reaction to the ending in this. That's it? That's the ending? That was just a bunch of dolphins! Rock, what a rip! But yeah, this is such an anticlimactic ending. When the directed by Gareth Edwards title card came out, I literally said at my computer screen, that's it? I did not think this would be the place to end the movie. Man, it's just something else. Jurassic World Rebirth did very well at the box office. It became the 5th highest grossing movie of 2025, but not to the extent that the other movies did, because this is the first Jurassic World movie to not break $1 billion worldwide. Oh, go ahead, Angron.
Yeah, honestly, given from what I've seen, It could have done a whole lot worse financially, but it could have done better story-wise. Everything in this movie, despite being played safe, did somewhat well while sticking to its beat. It knew what it was, stuck with what was familiar, while also doing a few things new, and it just kind of felt okay. It wasn't bad. It definitely was better than Dominion. It sadly had a lot of ideas that just never went anywhere. And if there's a sequel planned, great. We can explore those ideas. If not, then sadly, this is definitely one of those movies that you can just skip. Anyways, go ahead, Math.
This is the first time I ever found myself longing for some number crunching executive somewhere to go, oh, well, this didn't make all the money. I guess we need to kill the franchise now.
As everybody knows, they'll never stop Jurassic World. Have no fear, we've got stories for years. Owen becomes a robot. Rexy gets a cell phone. Has he and Malcolm owned a bear? How about a crazy wedding where stuff happens?
Goodness.
Yeah, they'll do every single story except the dinosaur people one.
Such a missed opportunity there, which now leads to the question of the week, which is, what ways would you improve the Jurassic Park/World franchise? And I'll go first, and I feel like the biggest thing I would do with it, I would go a completely different route. Movies are good, but it's been a little bit played out. What I would do, anthology series of people on Jurassic Park/Jurassic World. You could have each episode set in a different time period. You could have it like the aftermath of JP3 and how it ties into Jurassic World. You could have a fun one that's just a day in the life of a Jurassic World employee when the theme park was thriving. You have things like that. Just do something different compared to the same things that we've gotten. And I feel an anthology series would really be the perfect way that you could pull that off, because every episode could be a single standalone story set in the Jurassic Park/World universe. And there's so many things you could do with it. You could do, how did people react to the dinosaurs when they started invading our world? What were the military ramifications? Things like that. They don't do anything with it. So I feel an anthology series would really be the best way to go. Like a Jurassic Park/Jurassic World TV series spinoff, which we kind of got with Camp Cretaceous, but that was just one overarching story. I'm talking about a different story with each and every episode, because I really do feel like this world, this universe is so good, and you really could do so much more with it. And the fact that they don't is a shame, but that's going to be my answer. It's going to be a Jurassic Park/Jurassic World anthology show. Angron, what would yours be?
Something similar, though a little bit more focused on the whole, how do humans and dinosaurs learn to coexist in this new world? There's just so much you could do with dinosaurs. Hell, Dinotopia, something we might cover later, does a good job of incorporating a nation where dinosaurs and humans work together just well. Seriously, you could have sauropods work as an eco-friendly version of like cranes or construction equipment. Same deal with Triceratops. Or just have them be mounts. We saw them as like little pony rides in Jurassic World. Hell, parasaurs could be used as riding mounts in this world. Ark aside, you could definitely do something with that. Give horses and cows a bit of a break. You want to really break the mold? Theropods like T-Rexes and raptors were considered pet, had the mental capacity to be pet. They evolved into birds, so that is not beyond the realm of possibility. Just like that sort of thing right there could definitely be something you could do with this. Like, have people work with dinosaurs to like go against rogue dinosaurs or out of control dinosaurs, or maybe something with chaos theory where there's this whole underground and you could use that to go against the actual dinosaurs. Like a sort of clash of ideals and truths. It doesn't have to stop with Pokemon Black and White. It can ultimately be continued with something like Jurassic Park/World if they just take the time for it. Also, a little bit of the island's prehistory would certainly help, since we've got a temple and they did nothing with it.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from there, because again, it's such a missed opportunity with that plot line. They never did anything with it, and as we said earlier, this movie just completely revamped it. They made it so that plot line didn't even matter in the end, which, huge missed opportunity. Let's see, Math, what would your pick be?
I said this during our Camp Cretaceous episode, and I will keep beating this horse until they fucking do it, so for the rest of my goddamn life. Do what you have been teasing since Jurassic Park 2. The dinosaurs have taken over the planet. Humanity is on the brink of destruction. There's only small pockets of civilization left. We must find a way to survive. Go.
Exactly. Planet of the Apes.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes did this exact thing the year before on 2/3 the budget of this fucking movie. You have no goddamn excuse for not being able to do it.
Exactly. And I think the reason they don't want to do it, there already was a movie called Planet of Dinosaurs, and it's a lot. We're going to get to it eventually because that movie is woof. But, I understand where you're coming from because, again, they've been teasing that for so long and they don't do anything with it. Even Jurassic Park 3 had that with the pterodactyls managing to fly off from the island and evidently tried making it to the mainland. And they don't do anything with that either. It's a shame.
Yeah, other than the answer that we gave last time about the whole intelligent dinosaur thing, that plus the other ideas could definitely be something that could be built upon in the Jurassic Park/World universe. Like, our answers from the Camp Cretaceous episode still apply, but here, yeah, they still more than apply, especially for...
Oh, easily. Shark, what would yours be?
It's kind of combination of everything you guys have said, because mostly what this Jurassic Park dinosaur franchise needs is more dinosaurs, because as we saw with this movie and what has been a recurring problem with the movies, there's a lot of focus with the humans and they even plot like here with the medicine and all of that, and it's like, guys, people come to these movies for the dinosaurs, so give us something that is not 100% dinosaurs, because of course we need characters to actually follow, but I don't know. I think one of the main things that I know is going to be hard to do is like, I think the movies are not working. You're clearly like padding them out so there's more humans because, for some reason you want this movie to be 2 hours long when that's not necessary and all of that. So, it's kind of everything you have said. Like, focus more on other stuff that isn't movies. Do TV shows. Do more video games. Do something that you clearly don't need to force in an hour and a half stuff of humans and actually focus on your main stars, the dinos and all of that. So it's mostly that. Maybe give it a rest to the movies for a while. I know what is where most of the money is gonna come, unfortunately, but I don't know. At the same time, expand your horizons, try more stuff. Dinosaurs are a big thing in the world. They don't have to stay at movie theaters. You already have it at Universal. You have some games with the merchandise proof. So do more things for the people that don't go to the movies.
The Telltale game was really, really well made, and they didn't do anything with it. Such an absolute shame.
Especially because movies is where they have to force we need the movie to be 2 hours long. Throw in more human dialogue, throw in more plot points that are not related to the dinosaurs because we have to reach that 2-hour mark.
Exactly. Like, we should not have had the 30-second long sequence of Loomis just eating mints.
Yeah.
That's now going to lead to the patent-pending Dragoness Scale, where we are going to rank the dinosaurs in this movie. And this one is going to be interesting because, I don't know, I'm going to give them a 6 out of 10 just because this is probably the lowest any Jurassic Park I think dinosaur has ever gotten, to be honest. But I feel like the problem is, number one, the D-Rex just looks stupid. I'm sorry, even for like the promo picture. The first picture of it in the poster, I thought it looked stupid. And it doesn't look any less stupid in movement. So that right there knocks it down a few points. Rexy is cool, but she only gets one scene. Like, if we had gotten a part where Rexy comes back and fights with the D-Rex and manages to win, that would at least make it worth it. But regardless, the scene she's in, it does have some good jump scares in that. I do like the Titanosaurs. They look really good. And Quetzalcoatlus, they actually did a very good job with. I will say that much. They made it fearsome, and they didn't just rip off Q the Winged Serpent. They actually made it look realistic in that, which I give them credit for. But man, those mutant dinosaurs, they're so uncreative. It's like, let's make a pterosaur, but let's put a raptor head on it. Genius. What else should we do? Another raptor with a pterosaur body. Okay, cool. Let's go for lunch. It just feels so uncreative. So, with that being said, that's why I'm giving him a 6 out of 10. Just because you have the idea of mutant dinosaurs, and we get like one, maybe two-headed dinosaur frozen in a chamber. And that's it. And it really just feels like they dropped the ball with that too, with the whole idea of mutant dinosaurs. They could do anything. Do a Gremlins 2. Make them really mutant stuff like that. Make bat dinosaur. Make electricity dinosaur. You can even make Rexy have brain potion and make her like the brain gremlin. That would have been great. Just do something. But yeah, 6 out of 10 because I'm sorry, I still love the Jurassic franchise just too much to give them a score really, really low. Because with that being said, they still look really, really good. Angron, what would yours be?
I'm also going to go for a 6 out of 10. Like, there were a lot of good moments in this movie involving them. The Mosasaur scene had a good moment. The Titanosaur moment was majestical. The T-Rex, one scene, but they still did the most that they could with her, in my opinion. And Beluga Rex, it's all right. She had a few good moments there, but not as much as the others. But otherwise, giant monster. That's it. A few of the mutants had some good moments, and a few of the designs were pretty neat, but there just were not enough things to really get excited for. They were still threatening. They still had some pretty intense moments, admittedly, but sadly, I have to give this to Dominion. The stakes in that one were a lot higher than Rebirth. Like, Blue and Beta aside, there was an entire forest fire, dinosaurs were panicking, and like, this rich freaking asshole, not Krebs, keeps them there and just has a panic attack. The stakes could not be higher in that movie compared to this, where they're just collecting samples and getting out of there because it's illegal. So yeah, they're not completely piss poor, but I can't give them anything higher than a 6 out of 10. Like you said, they don't do too much with them, which is such a shame for a movie like this one.
I'm not even being around the bush with this one. 5. There's no character, there's no personality, it's just giant monster. I don't even have the energy to put in for the really good voice for that. They're well designed, well done, and all that. There's 2 notable exceptions that I'm actually making, and I'm giving these 2 an even lower score. Dolores and the Derposaurus Rex. I'm giving both of them a 3. Dolores because merchandising. Hey, here's our shameless cash grab merchandising. You like Baby Yoda? We want Baby Yoda too. It's so cynical, you can tell what she's for, and it pissed me off. And then the Derposaurus Rex looks god fucking awful. So well animated, but Jesus, that design is...
Oh, definitely. It just, man, you have such an idea for a mutant dinosaur, and that's the best you can come up with? Such a shame. Anyway, Shark, what would you give her?
Oh boy, this dinosaur movie surely had dinosaurs, but yeah, they don't really do much with them. Like, it really feels like they just added him to do, oh yeah, we're Jurassic Park, so here's a dinosaur. Okay, continue the medicine plot and all of that. And yeah, like, look at what they did to Rexy. She's just in one scene and she's defeated by 2 rocks, as we mentioned, and it's like, come on, she's like an ensemble of this franchise, and that's what you did with her? And of course, there's, like Matt said, Dolores the merchandise dinosaur, and the final enemy, which makes me think, you clearly just wanted to make a monster movie, right? Why didn't you just make a monster movie? So I'm gonna go with the middle ground because, alright, they are here, and the very few moments they are here, they are actually action, but it's clearly not just here because, oh, it's Jurassic Park, you have to have them. I'm gonna go with a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I understand why. Because again, for me, I don't know about you guys, this for me is not the worst of the Jurassic Park franchise. That has to be still for me Dominion, just because that didn't even feel like a Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie. This at least tried, but it's still not good. It's still like they really have to give this a rest for at least like 10, maybe 15 years before going back to the drawing board and trying again. Even though maybe they'll churn out another one in another 3-4 years, and if so, we'll probably cover that. Don't worry. But that'll be it for this week. If you have any questions, or if you want to see a version where Krebs is the hero and the mercenaries are the villains, you can feel free to email us at FieryDiscourse@outlook.com. Visit us at Twitter at twitter.com/FieryDiscourse. Be sure to subscribe to the Fiery Discourse YouTube channel and subscribe to the playlist. Like and hit the bell icon. Leave a comment. Any all comments are appreciated. Next week, we're going to be talking about the 2014 Pokemon The Series XY episode, Coming Back into the Cold. This is going to be our first episode of 2026, and we hope that you enjoyed as much as you've enjoyed these episodes of 2025. And until then, take care and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year! Can't wait.
Happy New Peace out.
Perfect. And see you all next week.